The Nile River was the lifeblood of ancient Egypt. It flowed through the land, bringing life and prosperity. At its heart stood Thebes, a city of wonder and magic. Thebes was more than just a city. It was a symbol of Egypt's power and glory. The city sprawled along the banks of the Nile. Its grand temples and palaces reached towards the sky. The air was filled with the scent of incense and the sounds of daily life. People from all walks of life called Thebes home. From the mightiest pharaoh to the humblest farmer, all found their place here. Thebes was a city of contrasts. The East Bank was for the living. Here people went about their daily lives. They worked, traded and worshipped. The West Bank was for the dead. It was home to grand tombs and temples for the afterlife. This balance of life and death was at the core of Egyptian belief. The city pulsed with energy from dawn to dusk. Markets bustled with activity. Craftsmen worked their trades. Priests performed their sacred duties. Thebes was truly the heart of Egypt. It was a place where history was made and legends were born. In Thebes, the glory of ancient Egypt came to life. At the center of Egyptian life stood the pharaoh. He was not just a king. He was a living god. The pharaoh ruled with absolute power. His word was law. His will shaped the destiny of Egypt. The pharaoh was the link between the mortal world and the divine realm. The grandest symbol of the pharaoh's power was the temple of Amun-Ra. This massive complex dominated the skyline of Thebes. Its towering pylons and massive columns awed all who saw them. The temple was more than just a building. It was a gateway to the gods. Here the pharaoh communed with Amun-Ra, the king of the gods. Rituals at the temple were elaborate affairs. Priests performed complex ceremonies daily. They made offerings to the gods. They recited sacred texts. The air was thick with incense and the chants of the priests. These rituals ensured the continued favor of the gods. They maintained the divine order of the universe. The pharaoh's role extended beyond the temple. He was the supreme ruler of Egypt. He led armies into battle. He oversaw massive building projects. The Great Pyramids stand as testament to the pharaoh's power. These monumental tombs were meant to ensure the pharaoh's immortality. They were gateways to the afterlife where the pharaoh would rule for eternity. While pharaohs ruled from their palaces, it was the farmers who formed the backbone of Egyptian society. Their lives revolved around the Nile's annual flood. This flood brought rich black soil to the fields. It made Egypt the breadbasket of the ancient world. Farmers worked from dawn to dusk. They planted crops, tended fields, and harvested the bounty of the land. The farmer's life was hard but rewarding. They lived in simple mud-brick homes. Their days were filled with labor under the hot Egyptian sun, but they took pride in their work. They knew their efforts fed the nation. From wheat for bread to flax for linen, farmers produced the essentials of Egyptian life. Their connection to the land was deep and spiritual. In contrast to the farmers, scribes held a privileged position in society. They were the keepers of knowledge. Scribes could read and write hieroglyphs, a skill few possessed. This made them invaluable to the functioning of the state. They kept records, wrote letters, and drafted important documents. A scribe could rise to high positions in the government or temple. Becoming a scribe required years of rigorous training. Young boys would enter scribe school at a young age. They spent years learning to read and write. They studied mathematics and history. The life of a scribe was comfortable compared to most Egyptians. They were respected and well paid. Many Egyptians aspired for their children to become scribes. It was a path to a better life and higher social status. Section 4. Bazaars and Community, the heart of Egyptian society. The bazaars of ancient Egypt were a riot of color and sound. They were the beating heart of every city and town. Here, people from all walks of life came together. Farmers sold their produce. Craftsmen displayed their wares. Traders from distant lands offered exotic goods. The air was filled with the shouts of vendors and the haggling of customers. These markets were more than just places of commerce. They were social hubs. People gathered to exchange news and gossip. They discussed politics and shared stories. The bazaar was where the community came together. It was a place where friendships were forged and alliances were made. The sense of community was strong in these bustling marketplaces. The goods on offer were as diverse as Egypt itself. Fresh fruits and vegetables from nearby farms filled baskets. Fishermen sold their catch from the Nile. Craftsmen offered jewelry, pottery and fine linen. Spices from distant lands added exotic scents to the air. The bazaar was a feast for the senses. It showcased the richness and diversity of Egyptian life. Beyond trade, the bazaar played a crucial role in Egyptian society. It was where important announcements were made. Street performers entertained crowds. Religious festivals often centered around the marketplace. The bazaar was the pulse of the community. It reflected the joys and concerns of everyday Egyptians. In the bazaar, the true spirit of Egypt came alive. Section 5. Trials and Tribulations, Challenges in Ancient Egypt. Life in ancient Egypt was not always as idyllic as it might seem. The people faced many challenges. Natural disasters were a constant threat. Floods could be too high or too low. Droughts could lead to famine. Plagues of locusts could destroy crops. These natural calamities were seen as signs of divine displeasure. They tested the faith and resilience of the Egyptian people. Political instability also brought dark times. Periods of weak pharaohs led to internal strife. Neighboring powers threatened Egypt's borders. Civil wars tore the country apart at times. The invasion of the Hyksos was a particularly traumatic period. It shook Egypt to its core and changed the course of its history. These challenges forced Egypt to adapt and evolve. Disease was another ever-present threat. The dense population along the Nile was vulnerable to epidemics. Malaria was common in the marshy areas. Parasitic infections plagued many. The hot climate made food spoilage a constant concern. While Egyptian medicine was advanced for its time, many illnesses remained a mystery. The people often turned to magic and prayer for healing. Despite these challenges, the spirit of the Egyptian people remained unbroken. They faced each trial with determination and faith. They rebuilt after floods. They united against invaders. They developed new farming techniques to combat famine. The resilience of the Egyptian people was remarkable. It was this spirit that allowed their civilization to endure for thousands of years. Section 6. Echoes of Eternity, the enduring legacy of ancient Egypt. The glory of ancient Egypt lives on through its magnificent ruins. The pyramids of Giza stand as eternal monuments to pharaonic power. The temples of Luxor and Karnak continue to awe visitors. These structures are more than just stone and mortar. They are windows into a lost world. They speak of the grandeur and ambition of a civilization that shaped history. The legacy of Egypt extends far beyond its monuments. Its influence can be seen in art, architecture and literature around the world. The concept of monotheism, first introduced by Akhenaten, echoes through many modern religions. Egyptian mathematics and astronomy laid the groundwork for scientific advancement. The organizational skills of Egyptian bureaucracy influenced later empires. Egypt's impact on human civilization is immeasurable. Egypt's historical significance continues to captivate the world. Archaeologists uncover new secrets with each passing year. Museums around the globe showcase Egyptian artifacts. The mystique of the pharaohs and their world draws millions of tourists to Egypt. Books, movies and documentaries keep the fascination with ancient Egypt alive. It remains a source of wonder and inspiration for new generations. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of ancient Egypt is its reminder of human potential. The achievements of this ancient civilization show what people can accomplish when united by a common vision. The pyramids stand as testimony to human ingenuity and determination. The wisdom preserved in ancient texts still offers insights for modern life. Ancient Egypt reminds us that greatness is within our reach. It challenges us to dream big and leave our own mark on history.